Hey there, everybody. Kelly Filato here. And I'm the host of the Grit, Guts, and Courage show. And this is the show where we talk to people who have faced challenges in life and found a way to get through them. So today, my guest is Diane. And I know she's got this amazing story that I'd love to have her share with you. So welcome, Diane.
Thank you so much.
So, Diane, let's just get right into it. Okay. Share your story.
Okay, well, in a nutshell, in 1999, I attended a literacy training program, thinking it was a way to help my own children with their schooling and literacy education. And when I stood up to introduce myself to 35 seasoned educators, I said, I'm Diane Devenyi. I'm a mother of 3, and I'm here, and I'm a former tax lawyer, and I'm here to revamp education on the planet. And then I sat down, and it was not in my intention for that to happen. I didn't know what that meant. This was 1999, and nobody was talking about the planet. And I remember sitting there thinking, what does that even look like? But the only thing I knew is that it was true. And so that's my quick way of saying I've taken a very circuitous route to being passionate about revamping education on the planet. And it began with my own education, that I really disliked school as a child. In fact, I hated it on some days, but I knew that there was this game we had to play to be the top in the class. And I figured out how to do it, but I didn't like it. And I eventually graduated top in my high school, went off to university on scholarship, got into law school, was called to the bar when I was 24 years old. And suddenly, and I remember after the first summer break when I was working as a tax lawyer thinking, oh no, I don't get to go back to school. I have to stay here and do this. But that was okay. Then I started having children. And when I decided to take time off to be full-time with my kids, I really threw myself into learning more about school and education. And I saw that there was a lot of unhappiness. And so my own story hadn't encouraged me to want to change education. I just thought I'm going to play whatever this game is that we're supposed to play. And it wasn't until my own children had me questioning what was happening that I decided to look more deeply into it and then make a bold claim that I was going to revamp education on the planet. Now, the funny thing about that was this one woman came up to me and she said, "You're the only person here I'm interested in speaking to." She said, "That's amazing, changing education on the planet." And I went, okay. And then she said, that's like a 20-year project. And I thought, there's no way that's going to take 20 years. But I got into it. And about 5 years into it, I was doing pilot projects in Toronto schools. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is a big undertaking. Like, this is bigger than I thought. Like, changing schools is not easy because there are a lot of bureaucratic and administrative and egos and all kinds of things involved. And it's much more complicated than I thought it was going to be. And I remember sitting there and thinking, oh, so this work I'm doing is not going to benefit my own children, because by the time I finish this, they'll be long out of education, formal education. And I thought, but this is going to benefit my grandchildren. And so in 2020, my first grandchild was born. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's 20 years later and I have a grandchild and I haven't changed education on the planet yet. And I remember this little voice saying in my head, "Grandma, you promised that if I come, you're going to do something for me." And I thought, oh my gosh, I better get on with this. And so it's been, oh my gosh, it's been a roller coaster ride. It's been crazy. But I'd like people to think about, what are the things that are happening in your lives that are maybe having you question how a certain thing is, or what people need to know, or how to be of service to other people because of your own experiences, but you're not really paying attention to those messages. For me, it wasn't enough that I hated school. I had to wait until my son hated school. So you never know what is going to be finally that trigger. And even then, I was inspired to say, I'm going to do this, and went on and working it until my grandson finally said, get on with this already. I'm here. I need you. So it's just realizing all these different things that are happening in our lives are pointing the way to opportunities, to really realize that we all have something special and unique to offer. And that's what drives me. I want every single person to know how important they are, and that they do have everything they need to fully express that in a way that is going to be of service to others. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to connect. We're here to feel that we matter, and that we are lovable and loving. And so my passion for education comes from that place. I don't want anybody to have to go through an experience of education and feel that they are less than others, that they have less than someone else to offer to the world, because every single person has something unique, and all of our experiences are taking us in that direction.
So Diane, I know that because, I helped you with your book and everything, I know that you teach people about, how to learn using clay and stuff like that, making letters. And so how did you come up with that?
Well, so part of my journey in the workshop that I spoke about in 1999 was actually given by Ron Davis, who unfortunately passed away last year. But he was a brilliant man, autistic, dyslexic, didn't speak till he was 12. And he saw that a way to correct dyslexia is to get people to do a fully holistic experience of relearning the letters by rolling ropes out of clay, forming them, getting to know them in a way that no other learning process of literacy foundation can do. And when I was training with him, I said, I love this program. It's, it's like 1 week, you work one-to-one with somebody, turns things around. It's amazing. I said, I'm here to find a way to bring this into schools. And that's why when I finished my training, I started spending time in Toronto schools. I spent several years in Toronto schools learning a whole new way to bring collaboration, to bring all other elements that weren't happening in that particular program into a classroom setting. And to the point that in 2004, I started a camp where I had children experience this program, and we had tremendous results. And I could facilitate 80 campers at one time. And I thought, well, if I can do that, then a classroom teacher can certainly handle this, because you build teams, you build spirit within each other, you build that each person is only happy when everybody's successful, and including the entire mind-body connection. I'm so obsessed about learning more and more about this that in 2016, I certified as a yoga instructor, because yoga means the union of mind, body, and spirit. It's union. And so bringing us completely together, we've basically been dismembered in a way from ourselves, from each other, and from the world. And so it's time to remember, bring ourselves back together. And we can do that with this incredible experience of bringing our hands in, being in community, and realizing we have a way to learn at the highest levels.
That's fascinating stuff, because I love it. Because I think there's just so many different ways to learn things. And, you see how the education system is not always the best way for people to learn.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely the system was certainly not designed for people living in the 21st century. It was designed in an industrial age when people needed to learn how to be compliant and be consistent. And so a lot of the way of learning was designed for that ultimate outcome. Now we have a need to be more human than ever before. And what does it mean to be human? To be human, it means to be creative. It means to love. It means to feel, have a felt sense of ourselves. It means to have joy, to be curious. And there are things about humans that AI cannot replicate. I can't say they never will, because who knows, because it's amazing what's going on. But right now, if you want yourself and your family to really have value moving forward, because things are changing so dramatically, being able to code is even being replaced. Like, so many things are being replaced and will be in a very fast way, very quickly. So being completely human, being, finding your creative ways and having confidence and curiosity. Those are the things that we need to develop right now. And that's what I specialize in when I work with people.
Okay. So a parent comes to you and says, Diane, my child is struggling with dyslexia. What can I do to help them learn? Because they hate school and I want them to love school. So what would you say to them?
Okay, well, first of all, I'll just say dyslexia. Let's just say that's a very loaded term. Okay. I have a term that I use that I call letter disorder, and it's not a disorder in the person. It's actually that what the person does not have a solid foundation in the actual letters of the alphabet. And therefore, it can show up as messy writing, poor spelling, slow reading, dyslexia, and inconsistent focus. So I'm just saying, don't think you have to have a diagnosis or that you have to have a specific something that feels as heavy as dyslexia can feel to some people. Just realize that if there are any gaps in foundation and messy writing, poor spelling, slow reading, and trouble turning your thoughts into written or spoken words, that's all you need to say, we may have some gaps here. And the great news is it's actually really easy and fun to fill them in. And that's what I do. So I begin with an assessment and I say, let's just have a look. Print out the letters from A to Z or A to Z if you're in the US. The rest of the world, we say Z. So the capital letters first, then the lowercase letters. You might be very surprised by what you see. You might, but you also may not know what to look for. But in my book, which you've been amazingly supportive with, I give a lot of information about how to do the assessment, how to understand and look through that assessment. There it is. Genius, harness the hidden power in your ABCs. And it's realizing, yes, those ABCs matter. And so just following these four little parts, your letters, you can draw a picture and you can write something about it. That's how I can tell you everything you need to know about what is missing and how easy it can be to turn things around.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So what's the gift in it? Like, what's the gift in doing the work you do? And
oh my gosh, there's nothing better than seeing someone smile because they just showed us that they know the alphabet forward and backwards, because that's one thing we do. Like, they just feel like, oh my gosh, I just did something really cool. And suddenly you realize the trajectory of their life has just completely changed because they see themselves in a different way and they are going to present themselves in a different way. And the world has become a new oyster for them. And it's when I see that little spark of, oh my gosh, there's more to me than I thought. That is what keeps me going every single day.
Yeah, it's so beautiful when you can see a child succeed that has been, so frustrated with life and so frustrated with school. And then you're able to give them hope that, hey, I can do this. So,
well, and guess what? It's never too late. My oldest student so far was 77 years old.
77.
77.
My goodness.
He found out, I was talking to him about my course. And he said, well, can I do it? And he said, and usually I work with families. He said, I don't have any family, but he said, I was left-handed as a child and I was forced to be right-handed. And I feel like things have just messed me up. And so he's gone through the program and he was sending me messages every day. Oh my gosh, I'm waking up laughing again today. And people are listening to me in ways they never did before. So you never know what this is going to unlock for you either. And even myself as a tax lawyer, having gone through this process myself, it opened up my ability to be more creative. And I write spoken word poetry now. And there's one of my poems is at the back of that book. And I also decided to take on partner dancing, which I'd been afraid to do my whole life. And I became this crazy danceaholic. And in my first 3 months, I set myself a challenge to perform 7 different dance routines at a student showcase at the studio where I had started taking lessons. So I was doing waltz and tango and foxtrot and cha-cha and salsa and bachata and swing. I had 7 different routines, and because I wanted to apply everything I do. And so it's not just about writing or reading. It's just realizing there's so much more to you. And when you feel that shift in you, you never know where it's going to take you.
Well, it's funny because that's exactly what I see in you, going from tax lawyer to, teaching kids how to write is just, it's incredible. And then dance instructor, yoga, all of that stuff. That's incredible. You can tell that you love learning.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are some words of wisdom that you would love to share with people?
Okay. Don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. It's like life is challenging, and we came here for that. We came to realize that we are specifically designed to learn and experience change. And it wouldn't be worth it if there was nothing to learn and grow from. And so just keep going. Whatever your dreams are, keep going. I'm more than 20 years into this and I'm not giving up. So please, whatever your dreams are, go for them and realize that you have everything you need to create an amazing life for yourself.
I love it. Okay, so what is some of the work that you do? How can people get in touch with you?
So, okay, my website is The Learning Force, FORCE, like the force be with you, .com. So thelearningforce.com. And there you can connect with me for assessments if you're curious about what's going on for yourself or any children or others that you care about. And then we have Wild Alphabet Adventures, and there are all kinds of stages in that. You begin with learning warm-ups, then you do the clay work, then you can apply into other aspects of yourself for literacy and learning. But at the same time, it's done in community. Ideally, I love working with families, and guess what? Parents do the work too. They get their own kit, they get their own, and it's all done on a gamified platform called Experienceify. So that everybody has their own dashboard, everybody is going through it, because as I've said, it's never too late to up level your life. And so, and you certainly, if you're doing it with your kids, you don't want your kids to get smarter than you. So you got to do it with them so that you can keep up with them.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Okay, so tell us more about your book.
Well, yeah. So this is the first in a series. Dear Genius is the one that is just explaining what most, and at the back it says, most people believe that they know the alphabet better than they do. And for this reason, they would never suspect that it could be holding them back when they have gaps in foundation. And that's the biggest message, because I have found people go and pay a lot of money for really in-depth assessments that cost a lot. They give you lots of information about what they've identified as a strength or a weakness, but it doesn't then naturally lead to a solution. Whereas this assessment in this book, it leads to a very specific assessment that you see before and after right away. And in fact, in 2 days, in a 2-day intensive workshop that I offer as some of my programs, you can watch that your handwriting change from one day to the next, like literally in 2 days. So, but it's just saying all, and it also has a whole bunch of myth busting. So all the myths about intelligence or laziness or lack of coordination or fine motor skill issues that aren't accurately expressed in for those people. It's saying there's actually a whole like a way easier and happier way to look at this than what most people are experiencing. And if people could just understand that it's a very quick and simple way to see where these gaps are, and then you get to work on filling them, everything can change, and years of struggle and suffering can turn around. And I just want to say, I just got an email from a family that I've been working with who's in the UK. And because I do virtual and in person, I've got people in Dubai and people in the UK, throughout the US and Canada. And this mother said, you know what, in 4 months, you have shown us what 5 years of school failed to do.
Oh,
and
wow.
And so she just said, I'm so grateful for turning things around. So that's the book, is just saying we largely misunderstand what we're looking at. It's not as complicated as people think. Mm-hmm. And I'm here to light the way to an easier solution.
That's fantastic. So Diane, share with the audience your website one more time, please.
It's thelearningforce.com.
Excellent. Great. And then I know people can get your books on Amazon, which is awesome.
Yeah. Also at the website, you can get it. And when you order through the website, you actually will trigger some extra little bonuses. So.
Oh, we want the bonuses. For sure. Okay. Thank you, Diane. It's been awesome chatting with you.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you so much for doing what you do.
You are very welcome. So there you go, everybody. That's Diane and her story of grit, guts, and courage. And check in for the next episode.